Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Quantum Panel Show, the panel discussion. Quantum Show panel discussion. Okay, I got that right finally. All right, links have been distributed in Facebook Messenger, and hopefully, everybody who is invited can come in who normally comes in. So come on in. And I'm continuing on being empathic. Welcome, everybody. We got Lynn and Aussie in the room right now. Thanks for coming by, y'all. Everybody, Lynn, your link has been sent in Messenger. And just because, let me get sound check, please. Let me get a sound check. Do I sound okay? Lynn and Aussie. Looks like it's just Lynn right now. Let me know, do I sound okay? Because I'm looking at, I can hear my computer's making noise. Am I making noise over here? Sound check. Give me a sound check. Sounds good? Sounds good? Sounds bad? Can't hear me? What? Sounds good. All right. Storm and Shadows in here. Alrighty then. Link is sent. Alrighty then. And went all the way as much as I could with empathy. Being empathic, how to use it to make it work for you. Not everyone's going to understand this stuff, right? But a lot of us will because we're in it. Lynn is here. Hey, Lynn.
Hi, how are you doing?
Pretty good. Let me check your mic settings. Just make sure everything looks good on my end. You sound a little loud. Maybe I might be loud. I don't know. Okay.
No, I can hear you. That's all good.
Okay. So we are good to go. So you saw? Did you see any of the first hour? I didn't see. I
I
don't
didn't
know.
get a chance to.
Okay.
I just finished with Coven, so
That's right. That's
yeah.
right. I forgot. Okay. Well, I
Yeah.
talked about being empathic. How not how can you tell if you are, because there's a ton of shows doing that already.
Oh yeah.
And they're all more high energy than me, so I just am not going to deal with it. Right? Let
It's pretty simple to know if you're empathic or not. Somebody sitting next to you wailing and you feel not just sorry, but you feel their pain. As though
yeah.
you were sad too. Yeah, you're an empath.
Lynn, it's easy to say the words, but describing it, what goes along with that? Differentiating between your feelings and their feelings,
Yeah,
their mixed up crazy feelings are
yeah.
bleeding over into you, and you feel it, and I didn't.
I really oversimplified it. I truly
Yeah,
did.
I mean, that's
You
why I
know,
spent an hour on it a little
oh
while
yeah,
ago.
easily. I this is a subject it could take up 6 weeks if you let it.
Yeah, it
You
could.
know, it's something that's delved into among many spiritual practices. It's it's not impossible to be a clergy person without empathy, but it's harder, and yet having empathy is harder too.
Yeah, because I explained it the best way I could. It's a different dimension of knowing what you're looking at. You look at it, you feel it, you hear it, you feel it, you hear it, you see it, you
It's
smell it.
interconnectedness.
Yeah, and you feel
Yeah.
something. And
Oh
it's
yeah.
not like you can tell where that feeling is coming from. You have to learn. I had to learn how to
You
do
had
that.
to learn how to find it. That's very true.
Yeah, I
Um,
had to.
Please go ahead.
No, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. I was just.
Okay. Yeah, no, you're right. Learning it. Um, Most people are brought up to age 5 or 6, and you ever be with a small child and another child cries, and that child just turns it loose and just is screaming and crying too,
Right.
even though nothing has happened to him. He's an empath.
Mm-hmm.
He is connected. He's interconnected, to the other person and to the circumstances around them. No, autistic children have a lot of sensitivity barriers, but quite often they are more connected than most,
Yeah, it's
where
almost as if
stimulation's much worse for them.
yeah, a lot of the senses are just tuned out
Right.
that we use all the time, and they focus in on what they can perceive. And
Yeah.
like you said, the young children, right? The young
The very
children,
young ones.
yeah, but
Yes.
like we're talking like months old or maybe less than a year
Oh,
old.
yeah. You ever see a whole bunch, if you've ever worked in a hospital nursery or even just looked into one, everything may be all quiet and good, and then that one child starts screaming, and they're all crying by then, you
Yeah,
know, and it's bedlam.
yeah, it's not.
And yet you
The,
get the one who's truly triggered and get him calmed down, the rest will calm too. How about that?
yeah, it's observable. You can go watch that happen right now if you have access to that
You
kind of
have the
group of
have the
people,
inclination to spend
right?
time in maternity, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah, and learning to not make those emotions yours, where
Yeah,
they're coming in anyway, right?
they
They're
will.
coming in anyway, and you don't. I don't want to make them mine, where I get mad and then then ego justifies getting mad.
Yeah.
I've found
It
myself doing that.
can, you know. Have you ever been in a store where everybody was totally uptight? I mean, everybody's flying. They are
Yeah,
they're irritated about being held up. They're irritated about prices. They may just be mad at their landlord. Who knows? Who knows what it's about?
it spreads.
And yet, that one person who understands who they are, what they're about, and is an empath can literally go sit in the middle of that mess and everything calms.
I need to try. I need to do that more. I've done that before,
Yeah,
not knowing what I was doing.
yeah.
I
And
was
yet
doing it.
very easy to buy into it.
Yeah, and I was. What I would do is I would go in and I would just smile at someone, and
Yeah,
then and give some. I randomly gave someone a compliment. Well, I do that anyway, right?
yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't. Like they say, it doesn't cost nothing. Coming from Muggle thinking, it costs nothing to be kind. Well,
I just wonder what you're up to.
yeah, and I will go give a compliment or just be friendly with someone, and that it's like creating a wave that wants
a
to go out.
good feeling.
Yeah, and
And
it wants to go out.
Brocklander's got it right.
Yeah,
It's like having a walkie-talkie or a radio. You have the radio waves everywhere, but you can choose what to tune in and what not.
if you
The
you got to
the
realize that.
the key is, which thing do you want to tune into?
Yeah,
Now, obviously, most of us want to feel good. We do. I mean, this is the human part of our condition. Uh, Too often we let those feelings that are running amok in the grocery store or the bank or where have you, um, influence us into being angry too. Where
yeah,
the proper and well, maybe proper, usually is proper choice is to say, no, I'm not buying into this. I'm happy, healthy, and terrific. There's no reason for me to be raising hell.
right. Yeah,
Simple as that.
yeah, and it takes a conscious effort when me, I'm an empath, and I've come to accept it. Okay, first you have to accept it,
Oh
and
yeah.
then
Believe in the fact that it's true.
yeah, you just have. You know what? For me, it wasn't a matter of belief. It was like, oh my god, this fell into my lap. What am I doing with it? It was like, oh, oh, this is landed
I
on
opened
me.
that
Now what?
I
I
opened
didn't
Pandora's box.
yeah, I
It
didn't have to believe in it. It was right in my face, like, literally, and, like, boom,
was
right in my
never
head,
a
too.
question of believing in it for me. It was in my face all of the time. Hi, Diane.
Hey,
Hi,
Diane.
Monty. Hi, Bronklander.
Hey,
Who else is
welcome,
here?
Woo Riders,
Woo Rider. Hey, yo.
Aussie,
Hi,
and
Storm. Yeah. Hi,
Storm.
Aussie.
Yeah, welcome
Okay.
everybody back to the Quantum Show. Thanks
Hi.
for
Hi.
coming back. I'm
Yes.
already getting feedback on the first hour. I didn't know what you were talking about. I had trouble following all of it. Like, you're in the right place. That's
Yeah,
it's
probably.
yeah, it takes effort, and it takes a cognitive awareness to
Yes.
know that you can do this. And you have to, like, don't take yourself so seriously. Really. I mean,
Oh, that's so important just in the day-to-day things.
yeah, but
There's
it
nothing let's look at it this way. 100 years from now, you're not gonna care. Simple as that.
right.
In fact, maybe 25 or 30 years from now, you might not care. That's
Yeah,
kinda how I'm
maybe,
seeing it.
when is that eclipse happening? Maybe
The
then we
8th,
won't care.
April 8th.
We might not care then.
Yeah. I don't care now. It's all good. So anyway, no, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna wait for
Oh,
that. I'm not
Aussie
going to.
Aussie is saying empathy is hard to master, but it
Oh
is
yeah.
possible. You know what?
Even if you don't and never have had an empathic thought in your life, it's very possible.
Yeah, and it's okay, when I said I have to not focus on my own me, what's good for me, fuck everybody, what's good for me. I
Oh
have to
no.
you can't do that. That doesn't work. That makes you a
Oh
dark empath, and
yeah, it can.
that will poison
An
it will
energy sucker.
it'll
Yeah,
poison the experience.
yeah.
Um, and you can actually being an empath, like we spread the niceness in a crowd full of stressed out people, you
You
can
can make it
spread
nasty too.
you can make it bad.
Boy, oh boy. And you're right. I mean, it's a two-sided coin, and most of our gifts are.
Mhm.
Um, it's you in the middle of your gift.
Yeah,
How are
and
you going to present?
yeah, it's like, oh, here's an example all muggles can relate to, the pretty person. The pretty
Oh yeah,
person can use that, not they can be nice, and they can influence everybody to do what they want for them at the expense of everybody,
yeah.
or they can be nice to everybody and get everybody to work along with each other.
And
Not
we've
at it
experienced that. We all have. All we had to do is go to high school
Yep,
or elementary.
yep.
Really,
Any
we've
group.
seen it.
Mhm. You could I tried to, like, I realized something was up when I was a kid, right?
Yeah,
In grade school, high school. What do they call grade school? What does that even mean anymore? Anyway,
elementary school.
elementary school. I think, is
Yeah,
that a British
where
holdover?
you learn how to learn.
Mhm.
Hi, Kelly.
Hey, Kelly. Um, but I was like, I constantly was calming everybody down. Hey, man, let's
Yeah.
see if we can figure this out. You know, constantly, even though I was an insecure, dumb little preteen, I was still doing that. And
Yeah, but that's your core personality too. You know,
yeah,
you look
and
at it takes a lot of strength to just sit and look at yourself and say, these are my strengths and these where am I at? And these are my weaknesses. And how can I make my weaknesses stronger and my strengths stronger yet? And usually in the middle of all that is loving kindness. That's
yeah,
how it's done.
and calm. That took the longest to learn for me, is to be calm. Don't be always going because you miss details. We're only human. We got so much input And
Oh
empathy,
yeah.
you have even more input, and it's you get wrapped up in, like saying, get wrapped up in the moment. You get tunnel vision, and
Well,
there have been times I had a manager who was so frantic and manic about everything that
yeah.
someone walked in the. We were talking, and she got going like this. She got
Swinging from
going.
the chandeliers.
Yeah, she was like discussing something, and I was hyper fixated on her, and I was tuned in. I didn't even notice the person standing walked right next to me. She said, "What about so and so?" I'm like, "What?" I wasn't even aware. I was like, "Boom!" Right? I wasn't even aware of this person. And she goes, and I'm like, "Oh, there you are. There's someone here with me." And
Oh, good.
apparently,
I don't have to take the blame alone.
yeah. Well, that was I was like, "Nope, I'm out of this situation. I'm not." I was like, "Nope." It shocked me. I was like, yeah," and I couldn't. I was like, "What's going on?" And I just like, and I walked away.
I will not work with someone like that. I mean, I have my share of swinging from the chandeliers. Okay, I do. I live a fairly interesting life in a Chinese curse kind of way, and we have plenty of things here that we could decide is the end of the world. We could. So can everybody in this chat room think the same way?
Yeah,
Or you can
and
look at the thing and embrace it and say, I get to learn from this.
yeah, I have. That is a discipline. Okay,
Yeah.
everyone listening, that what she just said is a discipline. Looking at things like opportunities instead of pains in the ass. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you do it, now I have a son who's quite volatile. Okay. He goes off at the drop of a hat, which is probably why God gave him to me, you know, because I don't. It's like, no, I'm not going to go with that.
Hmm.
But he'll come in and he's jumping up and down and hollering and oh this and that, oh my gods and the whole bit. And I'll sit there and I'll wait for him to finish whatever it is he's got to say because there's no use interrupting him.
Hmm.
And finally I'll say, hey, you doing all right? He'll be on again. Okay, we got a little bit more to go here.
Hmm.
He'll
Hmm.
scream some more. And I'll look at him and say, now what was accomplished with this? And he'll look at me and oh, that makes him furious. Not a damn thing. I said,
Hmm.
bingo. Now what are you gonna do about it?
Yeah.
And it
Get
may
it
be
out.
positive, it may not be, you never know.
Yeah. Get it out.
And get it out. Let's look at all of it. Just let it all hang out and let's see what's going on.
Yeah.
And we'll eventually, I'll get a piece of paper and a pencil and tell me what's absolutely horrible about this. Now tell me the positive things about it.
Right. You
Now
start
that's discipline.
applying some logic to it, right?
Yeah.
Instead of
What's
the
positive with
emotional
this
reaction.
situation?
Right. The
So,
emotional reactions are killing us.
and working it out, because we are not all, haven't all studied this thing for a while. Some of us are brand new at it, and this is how you do it. You sit down, calm yourself, look at everything positive about this oh my God situation you got going on, and then everything that's negative about it. And then what am I going to do to make the negative thing positive or more positive? If that's possible, sometimes it's not.
Hmm.
Sometimes you got to say, listen, let's just go kill them all. But that's not a positive reaction to
No.
things.
No. It isn't.
And and when you do that, you open yourself up to more negativity,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and
And then you
more
start
and more.
producing. you start producing negativity, and
Exactly.
that is a boom, boom, boom. It builds itself up, and it's self perpetuating.
Just like dominoes.
Yeah, I mean
And you take that out in public with you. That's great. Go to the grocery store at that and see what kind of havoc that's going to end up being.
yeah, I have to. I don't do that. I have
No,
done that, but it's
I have
not
been in
pleasant.
those circumstances. I believe me, there is every human condition going on back and forth out of this house. It's just the way life is.
Yeah.
But taking that situation, we'll say, okay, we've had a number of setbacks. We'll call them that. We've had some illness. We've had some unhappy things going on.
Hmm.
And yet, every out of those unhappy things, we've come into, oh, yeah, we had to have an operation. Yeah, we did have a heart attack, but no, there was no damage and the heart's in perfect condition. That's good news.
Yeah, and
That's very good news.
not so mortal of an example would be like
Uh, yeah,
my car stuff lately, right? Um,
precisely.
yeah, it's not so mortal of an example. Okay, I mean potholes and front end work.
But it could have
Really,
been,
yeah,
it
really.
could have
I
been
didn't
quite.
look at it like what a pain this, what a challenge this is to not even a good challenge. What a obstacle this is that I'm gonna have so much trouble getting
Yeah.
over.
No.
No, 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 no. That means I get to rebuild my car even more, and it's gonna
You get
be
to learn
awesome.
how.
Yeah,
You
it's
get
gonna
to
be
learn how.
awesome. Yeah, and well, I get to learn how to keep it up after this
Yeah.
because things have changed
Because
even from when.
once you have that knowledge, you have that knowledge.
Yeah, well,
That's yours.
if my car was from the '80s, I could work on it. But I can't work on this one. It's got so
I
many
know.
weird little tricks in it that I don't. I'm like, "What is this? What is that?"
What's
I don't know. I
that?
have to hit the books. But I
We
didn't look
we
at
have
it.
we have car repairs here, just like
Yeah,
every single other person does here,
yeah, and it's not
and it's
an
approached.
it's not
Yes.
an obstacle. It's an opportunity. And
Yeah.
now I'm gonna have a practically new car as far as the
Yeah.
suspension goes. It's gonna ride so sweet. I get to do fancy driving again, new struts, new linkages, and all that stuff.
Learn how to avoid potholes.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'll be
sorry about
more nimble. Okay,
that.
that was my fault. That was my fault. But yeah, I think something quantum put itself in there because I think this is keeping me out of trouble because like I said in another show, I was about to buy a whole bunch of firearms. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah,
doing
there
that
you
now.
go. Maybe that just wasn't for you at this time,
Right. No, I
you
mean,
know?
that's
And
not going to
and
be
that's there. I've had circumstances where I've saved up, man, I was gonna do this thing, I was ready to go. I think it was a trip, now to consider it, but
mhm.
just nearly time to go, and something gave up the ghost, and we didn't get to go.
Yep.
Nope, we're not going.
Oh, let me tell you,
I could have thrown a shift bet over that,
I was thinking
you
about
know?
I've been thinking about the example of at the time I said it was weird, but now it's not so weird, right? Back when I was at Fort Bliss, um, I was dating this woman, Dina, and I was gonna go see her in San Francisco. Or no,
Oh,
in
boy.
LA. I was gonna see her in LA. Okay. I had that little do you remember that little white truck? Did you ever see that car
I
that truck?
do. I remember
Okay.
it. Now I
That
remember
little
the
white
red
truck.
car.
Yeah. The little white truck, that was years and years ago. By the way, I would
Oh
love to get
god,
another one.
yeah.
But, I took that truck to LA and I drove all you know what? Everything, almost everything that could go wrong, it kept me from getting to my destination. Okay, my ATM card stopped working. I don't know why. I had a flat tire that was I mean, it had, like, a hole the size of a quarter. I don't even know how it happened, right? It
Boy.
started stalling on me. and nobody would take a check, so I couldn't do anything. I only had $11 in my pocket. See, I was 20 and I was like bulletproof, so I was gonna go do
Yeah, I
well,
remember 20. I do
yeah.
vaguely, but it's still there. And
But
yeah, at 20,
yeah,
you're bulletproof.
yeah, and everything was starting to go wrong. Okay,
Yeah.
everything, and it took me a day and a half to get there, and it's not even a day's trip. Okay, I felt bad. I couldn't get anything to eat. I couldn't get any water. It was just a grueling way to get there. I got there. She had been diverted. She was in San Francisco. She was in a totally different part of California, and I was like, "I'm out. I'm going home." And you know
Yeah.
what? You know what
Best
happened?
decision you ever made.
You know what happened? Everything went right. Truck held up, never stalled.
Yeah.
ATM
Yeah.
started working amazingly. I was able to get plenty of food, water, whatever I needed. Gas got cheaper.
Mhm.
I mean,
The universe was actively trying to keep you from hooking
yeah,
back up with her.
yeah, and it was because of me, not because of her, because of me. I was. I'm not going to get into the nuts and bolts of it, but on the way
10
there,
feet tall in space.
yeah, I wasn't supposed to go over there, but I
Yeah.
was determined to be stupid and go over there. And they said, nope. I mean, I'm talking like all this stuff had to happen, right, on her end for me not to get over there,
Yeah.
as well as me, because I
Oh
forced
yeah,
my
they
way up
made
there,
sure you didn't
and
reconnect.
I didn't see
You
her at all.
know, it wasn't right for you. That's
Mm-mm,
all.
it wasn't for me.
Now,
And
Bronklander has a question for
yeah,
us.
I'm sorry, I was
This is
getting that
for
story
both
out.
panel members. Empathic and synchronicities. Do you feel like being an empathic increases the likelihood of synchronicities?
No,
No.
you see them. You
Yeah.
don't. It doesn't increase the likelihood of them. You notice them.
Yeah. That's
That's
the
another
difference.
thing that empathy, what you're hardwired with, can lead to is noticing the weird, cool stuff, as well
Yeah.
as not that they increase, but you see them and you remember them and you take them into account.
Well,
Not,
when you're squelched, okay, and you haven't um let yourself be empathic or exercise that gift, you aren't going to see the synchronicities like what we just discussed.
yeah, they don't.
After empathy, after you became completely empathetic, Nathan, you see all kinds of synchronicities now.
Yeah,
And
and
wouldn't you have heard at that time if you were going to see Dina, okay, and you had made this plan and on your way there and you had these things happen, would you not have cut the whole business short and abort mission?
yeah.
Yeah.
If I hadn't been so bullheaded and so full of hormones, I would
Mm,
have said,
yeah.
"This is a bad idea." All the signs are pointing away,
Are you
but
saying
I
the
didn't
little
do that.
head was doing the thinking for the big one?
Yeah, yeah.
Sort
That's
of.
exactly what it was.
But then again,
And
this is part of being a young person
yeah,
and
and I
learning
learned,
how to deal with those feelings, with the empathy, with all sorts of things. You were just beginning to realize and come into your power at 20.
yeah, and I didn't know what was going on. This is the same time the staff was formed, right? The item, the holy item. And this is when all that stuff was going down. I'm trying to focus on the empathy part, right? And
Oh
and
yeah,
he said synchronicities. I'm talking about the synchronicities of that stuff happening, right?
oh yeah.
And also, you brought up synchronicities, Bronklander. Okay, it was no coincidence. Now, I was in line with that dude, the haunted girl husband. I was in line with that dude, but so were like 300 other people. He could have talked to any of us, and it was put to me. We were put in each other's path. And all
Okay,
those
I'm not
events,
familiar with this particular story.
well, this is not an empathy story. It was a synchronicity type story.
Oh,
Um,
okay, sure.
but this was, yeah, this is the first. I went over it a little while back. The first time I had the possessed girl,
Uh-huh.
the one that threw her husband across the room,
Oh,
that one.
just a dainty little thing, huh?
Oh, she was like 100 pounds soaking wet, and he
Yeah.
was a football player. She
Yeah.
picked him up and threw him across the room like he was a throw pillow.
And that's one of the ways you discover if somebody is actually possessed or not, because they can do things uh, from the strength point of view that you
Yeah,
would never think of to do. And the
yeah,
reason they can is because you as an individual do not draw on all of your strength. You have certain reservations about hurting yourself.
well,
Someone who's possessed you doesn't care if they hurt you.
yeah, and that's a whole. That's for another show, though.
Yeah, it's
That's for
entirely
another show.
different than
It
what
just
we're
that was a
describing.
synchronicity that I was there and he was there at the same time in a huge group. Talk about random numbers. That was meant to happen. Just like the
Yeah,
girl in the woods. The girl in the
yeah.
woods, you can't say she didn't get put in my path figuratively or literally when she run out in front of my car. Okay?
She
that is
put herself there anyway.
that is literally in my path.
Yeah,
So, and yeah, I got wrapped up in the emotion of fear and I got my own excitement going because I
sure.
pretty girl, and help me please and oh my white knight in shining armor started up.
I don't know about you, but I don't want a white knight in shining armor. I want that guy that's got the dinged up armor and
I was the
a sword
hero.
that's got plenty of use out of it
Yeah.
because that guy's gonna save your butt, and the guy in the white in
Okay.
the
Yeah.
gleaming armor hasn't got the first clue what you need.
Yeah, he wrong choice of words then. Wrong choice of words. I was
We
playing
laugh
the
about
hero.
we laugh about the knight in shining armor quite
Yeah.
often around here.
Yeah, wrong choice of words. I was the
Yeah.
hero. She was
Okay,
looking for
you
a
were the
hero.
hero, and she needed a hero. She needed
Yeah, and
somebody to save her from herself or whatever.
yeah, I don't know what happened before or
Uh,
after, but I was there at the time. And what do I focus on? Look at the now. Look at what's around you right now. She was literally right here. So I said
when
yes.
you talk about synchronicities, you know, uh, I when I came to Las Cruces, I was supposed to meet a girlfriend who had offered me a room in her apartment. We were roommate. She helped me find a job here. She'd do these things, right?
Hmm.
And I get off the bus, and there's this giant in front of me. Are you Lynn Moon? I said, yes. He goes, hi, I'm Frank. Your friend isn't coming for you. And I'm like, oh shit. You know, so things are not going well at that moment and hadn't been going well on the trip. But I looked at him and I said, well, where is Priscilla? And he said, Chris went and got married and called me up and asked me to pick you up at the station here and take you home. I said, where is home? And he goes, he told me the address, which was the apartment that she had. She left me high and dry.
Mm.
But in her haste to go get married, she sent the person who needed to get me out of my mess.
Yeah.
you know, and
No
that's
coincidence
that is
there.
that is storm and shadow.
Yeah.
So, we this was synchronicity, very much
Let
so.
me say something right now. It's
Go ahead.
synchronicity. Just so
Synchronicity. All right.
synchronicity. I don't know if
I
that's the actual.
I have a very big problem hearing things.
Okay.
There it
It's
is.
synchronicity. Just
Synchronicity.
saying.
Thank you.
Just saying. Okay.
I don't
Um.
mind being corrected with words at all.
Okay. Okay. Bronklander's following up with crossing paths is magic. That's the universe working its influence. The free will part comes in what we choose to do with the synchronicities. Correct. Or see.
Yep.
Interesting stuff, guys. Thank you. Yeah. And that's synchronicity, right? Now, relating this to empathy, we see them, we notice them,
Yes.
right? It's not that they happen, going back to that, they don't happen anymore. Just we know them, we recognize them for what they are, and then
Yes.
we choose to act on them or not. Like I chose to act on the situation with the girl in the woods. I
Yeah.
chose to act on that. And
Exactly. And
even if
and even if you hadn't, it was no mark on you one way or the other.
right, it's a choice.
Yeah.
It's a choice, and that's a nice choice. That's a fun choice because it had a happy ending, right?
Yeah.
Um, as far as I know, it had a happy ending. The police got there, and I was released. Happy ending, right?
Awesome.
Nobody died.
And
And
that sometimes happens too.
yeah, that happened to me. I
The
don't want to go over it again.
synchronicities, as you say,
Yeah, I'm
you
not going
know,
to get over. I'm not going to. There's. I've
how in the
talked to you
heck
about it
did
before.
I meet this guy? How did I meet this man? And he realized I was in a jam. He goes, "Listen, I know you're going to be looking for work and stuff. If you need a ride, call me." He gave me his card and he was a cabbie.
Yeah.
What could I have asked for better?
Hmm.
There you are.
Yeah.
We're all
Destic.
wizards excuse me, we're all wizards. We're where we are when we need to be there. Coincidences exist from in few scenarios.
Hmm.
And that's kind of a Calvinistic way of thinking about it, maybe. But you know, regardless of whether or not you believe in coincidences, there's far too many of them to ignore.
Yeah. You can call them coincidence if
Storm,
you
may I
want.
have water, please?
I don't think like you said it in the first part. We're where we are when we need to be there.
Yeah,
That was for you to do. That
yes.
was for you to do. And I recognized it because I've been practicing with the empathy and filtering and focusing. That's another thing, right? I focused on her and I could tell she was honestly scared and I let it program mine, right? She was honestly scared, honestly, and then she used my phone to talk to the police, and I could feel her impatience and her Karen coming out, right?
You
Because
need to get it right now.
she was they were saying, "Well, what are you talking about?" Like I could feel them on the phone through her, and I could feel her impatience and annoyance with the dispatcher.
She
And
wasn't very succinct with what she needed.
no, she wasn't. But she ended up being very succinct, and I was like, "How do you know to do that?" So there was something more to her than just a girl running out of the woods, right?
Yeah, but these situations, I personally I believe that we set ourselves up before we ever get here on this planet to experience certain things,
Yeah,
whether that's love or rejection or
getting suspended
high
from school.
prices, getting thrown off a job, whatever. You know,
Yeah,
there are
I
things that we need to learn as human beings.
a lot of
Where
those times are misjudged as setting yourself up for failure, but it isn't that. There is those do exist, but that's not. these times. These times are things we know we need to do because we need the
Well,
experience.
maybe thrown off a job because you have been late yet again, you know, and you just got sort of complacent with it,
Yep.
and basically, yeah, you needed to figure that out, whether it was getting to getting to your mother-in-law's birthday party on time or getting to work on time. And that's not being a slave to the clock. That's being empathetic towards your mother-in-law
Mm.
and appropriate towards your place of work.
Hmm. Okay,
So,
Bronklanders got something to say. I identify as a wizard. Okay, my kids call me wizard a lot. Haha, I'm like a bumbling buffoon of a wizard. Rincewind, much? Very clumsy with magic, and because of that, I practice only unconditional love intention. That's good. That's good. That's a good way to do it.
yeah,
Unconditional love. That's a very good way to do it. And it's like this with empathic awareness.
with
Okay.
us, is there any other kind? Really?
Oh
Is
yeah.
there anything we want to deal with like that or the karma thereof? I don't.
Well, our egos get in the way sometimes. I
Oh,
will
yeah.
admit that. I get wanting to get back at somebody. I feel like I've been wronged, or I feel like this guy just needs to. Well, I have to. It takes practice. It takes self discipline to say
Yes.
this is not for me. This is not
I'm
good.
going to progress in this mindset.
Yeah, and then you go back to the times when those situations come up. You go, yeah, fear of repercussions, fear of consequence. That's I know
That's
what could
it.
happen here, so I'm not going to mess with this. Like the do not cross show, right?
Yeah.
That was man, I had to really heal myself after that one. I drew upon the crystal network at that point.
Oh,
But
yeah. But anytime you deal with darkness, there is a price for it,
yeah,
whether it's
even
just simply talking about it. Practicing, of course, is a higher price.
yeah, and I'm just like no. And yeah, I'm out. I was just like, I'm out, and I had to like 2
Yeah.
healing potion coffees, lots of more meditation,
You
and
stirred your
more
coffee
meditation.
with your crystal, didn't you? I know I did. You
It
know,
was it was rough, but,
we deal with all kinds. We deal with all kinds of what what would be termed good and evil, although they can be interchangeable depending on the circumstances
yeah, in
and what they
context.
are
Yeah,
and what they are.
in context.
Um,
Go ahead.
love-based magics. Uh, all of the positive magics are love-based, all of them. And you start dabbling in some of the cruder things where you're looking at jealousy or envy or they got that, I want that sort of magic.
Yeah,
And you'll
selfish.
find yourself a selfish match. Thank you. Uh, anytime that I've dabbled, and then understand, I haven't dabbled since this time, and I was quite young dabbling in it. Because I was brought up to believe that magic, as a whole, was evil.
Yeah,
So what the hell?
same.
Why not? If I'm gonna do it, let's go for it.
Mhm.
Was there karma involved in that? Oh, you betcha. Boy, was there karma. But I learned something from that. I learned I didn't want to do it.
Right. Yeah, I did very similar to that. I did like, when y'all met me, I had been practicing Buddhism for 2 years. Well, Buddhism
Right.
is very self-centering, okay? There's
Yes.
not a lot of compassion. It's, but it was what I was doing was learning self-control and awareness, right?
Yeah. Self
But
discipline.
there was an awareness there that I was ignoring in lieu of learning the disciplines, and that was empathy was a big one. Empathy, because this stuff kept coming in, and I didn't know what to do with it, so I just ignored it, and you know what? When you do that, when I did that, I ended up feeling empty, and that's
Yes.
when I started. That's when the universe says, "Go to the bookstore," and I did, and that was
Yeah, you
day
were
one.
emptied out, but you know something? The universe really hates a vacuum.
Hmm.
And I hate vacuums too. I
Yeah.
don't want anymore.
Well, I love Mercury.
I'm just kidding around here, but no, the
Hmm.
universe when you empty out and you leave a big void somewhere, that could be the death of a spouse or a parent,
Yeah,
that could be the loss of a job, or even the loss of a dream.
things
Now you
start
have,
coming
yes.
up. Things start
And
coming up.
your bookstore that day was the beginnings of refilling that vacuum.
Hmm.
The
And
universe said, "Oh, hey, he might be teachable right now. Let's go for it."
and it
And
worked.
yes, I do believe that the universe is an
Yeah.
intelligent entity and capable of doing those things.
Yeah,
When
and
Yeah, go ahead.
when people say you are the universe experiencing itself, you can't just say that and it make any sense. You have to build up to that, right? You have to
It's
understand.
funny. Yeah, no, please, you finish your
Yeah.
thought.
Okay, you have to build up to that. You have to understand where that phrase comes from. You need all the context or it makes no sense.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah. It's funny, we come to these heavy truths, one truth at a time. It is not 10 truths at once. It's one truth at a time. And it's like a child being fed pablum, You get a bite and you chew that and you swallow. And this is how things are done. I can remember the first time I realized that the universe experiences life through each individual. I was in a bathtub. I had a bubble bath. It was fabulous. I had more bubbles than I knew what to do with. I was thrilled. I was having a good time, and that sort of thing was never a big deal with me. And I had a big garden tub. I was having a ball. The candles, the whole bit.
Yeah.
And I suddenly realized the universe is experiencing this wonderful thing with me, just like that.
Yeah.
Wow. I said, "You're going to have fun too? Let's go for it."
Yeah. And
But
okay,
this is joy. This is not just empathy, but joy.
right.
And many of us don't know what joy is anymore.
Yeah. And okay, reeling us back. Yes, all of that. Yes. And there's even context that needs putting in there because a lot of people won't understand it. A lot of people just won't understand it.
Oh
And that's
no.
okay. That's all right. Um they're going
They
to have
don't realize what they miss.
yeah, they're going to have their aha moments and they're going to judge them accordingly
Yeah.
to the experiences they've already had. So that's where I mean, and my experiences have been well, I've gone over most of them here and I want
They've all
more.
been awesome. There's never been anything you brought up that wasn't especially meaningful to you.
Yeah, and I'm not okay, I got told I think too much about stuff. Maybe, but
No.
you don't get anywhere by not thinking about it. So, I choose to overthink it, come to the wrong conclusion, back up, think about it again, simpler, and do it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
This was like a bunch of situations plus the girl in the woods, right? I was
Yeah.
overthinking it and I need to mind my own business. I got told that. I got told
Oh
that. And I was
yeah.
like,
I remember.
That's fear. That's your insecurity and fear, and like, oh, poor me sticking out. And I'm like, oh, this is gonna be fun. I'm going on an adventure, and I did it. It was a little one, but it was notable,
This
notable
is
enough for me to talk about it for an hour. You know,
yeah, but this was you experiencing life.
yeah.
Life,
And I'm not
you
going
know,
to shy
big.
away from an experience. I'm not. I didn't shy away from the girl in the woods. I didn't shy away from rebuilding two cars. I'm not shying away from any of that stuff. I'm approaching it with a new perspective. Mm,
And a certain
mm.
amount of joy.
Mhm.
Because what are we here for if not to enjoy life?
Yeah, I'm going to like,
Yeah,
and I
it's
will.
not.
What do
I
they
would
say?
say it hurts. It hurts like mad. It hurts like a mad bastard to have a child. It does. It's one of the hardest experiences you'll ever go through.
Mm,
But they hand you that little squirming ball of hate and scream, and you're like in love. It was all worth it at that moment.
mhm.
And yeah, they're mad as hell. I've never met a baby that wasn't angry about it.
Mhm.
But
I'm gonna open up.
but it's life. And when we start actively pulling life towards us, we also pull empathy because we can't help it. That empathy is experiencing not just our own life, but reaching out and holding someone else's hand and helping not only experience your life, but experience theirs too. You get a 2 for 1 on that one.
Mhm.
And that when you start looking at these things from those perspectives, start realizing that, yeah, you may only be one person on this planet, but your existence here is extremely important.
Yeah, and
Without you, many things aren't going to happen.
right, and you may not know the reason why, but the reason exists. That is
Yeah.
my leap of faith. That's the only leap of faith I got. And well, that's the leap of faith I begin with, right? That's the leap of faith I start with because it just goes on from there. And
Yeah,
boy,
the expression of empathy and of love for our fellow person, which isn't always easy by a long shot. Some people are distinctly unlovable. But by reaching out and saying, "Listen, we can do this together. We don't have to be at cross purposes with one another. We can make this thing go." It changes your life. It changes their life, and every life that touches yours. We
yeah,
are not alone.
I think that's called the butterfly effect,
Yep.
and it's on a personal level. And empathy enhances it. It gives you another dimension of perception
Yeah.
to see all of this and to recognize it when it happens.
I saw a video a day or two ago, don't recall, but the the song was going along, and the individual who's singing the song is walking along the sidewalk, and the music's beautiful. The words quite full of despair, but I was experiencing the song, and this individual was singing about how awful his life was, how bad everything was. And as he walked, he made sure that he ran into every single person that he came to. All of them. Walked on cars. I mean, he was basically acting the thug, okay? And I sat there and I looked at him and I'm thinking, anything for attention, huh, buddy?
Mhm.
That is empathy. Yes, I know him for who he is, but also have an inkling of why that might be. So, and then just a silly little video thing. Nothing of much importance. Beautiful music. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
so when we do these things with each other, we can have beautiful music and still behave like something of a thug. Or we can embrace the pain we might be feeling, might be going through, and look at the next guy who's probably going through his version of pain too, and saying, "Hey, we're okay together. We're doing this. You
Yeah.
doing all right?" Things like that.
Yeah. Let me look at the chat, and going along with what you're saying, for every emotion, there's an equal and opposite emotion of the easily something the stead of an unpleasant one. Take the stead of an unpleasant one.
Take
Then
the step.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then example, jealousy can be changed into inspiration. Now, this is something Keith talks about. He
Oh
doesn't put it in
yeah.
so many words, but he puts it in different words. But yeah, jealousy can be changed into inspiration. Jealousy, that's bad for you. That's poison.
It
However,
is bad
you say,
news.
I can do that too. Um, and you work from there. You say, I can do that too, for whatever reason, and then you do something, and you do it, and you do it, and you get better, and you get better, and you're like, you no longer are jealous of the person. You're like, hey man, I did this too. We're both great.
I think you're interchanging jealousy with uh envy.
Okay,
Envy is
that's his word.
a very specific word, and it means to covet somebody else's
Yeah.
holding, their talent, maybe a spouse. When you're jealous, jealousy is a fear of the loss of love.
Okay.
That is what it is.
Okay. All right. Well, when you are envious of someone,
Yes.
to like, let's just say a car. I mean, what am I going to talk about, right? A car. Uh, Somebody has a nicer car. Well, you could just go, "Whew," and I'm upset because I don't have a nice car like that.
And I've seen people do that. And it's like, why?
Yeah. What?
A car.
You
You
have a car. You get around,
know?
and can your car be nice? Make it nice.
Yeah.
And then you could, like, if you see yourself down here and you see that person up here, and you build your car up to here, you can go, "Hey man, I got a nice car too. This is the we're both great now." You
Yeah.
know? And that's like a muggle perspective of it.
And if you have the ability to be both great at that level, you also have the ability to look at that lower level, and say, we're both okay.
Yeah.
You're up here, I'm here.
Yeah, and to look at, like, other people look at you, and sometimes I have been told I inspire people. People have made art, music because of this stuff, because of the quantum stuff,
That's
right?
awesome. That's
And I love
wonderful.
that. I love that, that
Yes.
I have managed to inspire one person, let alone a group of people
Yes.
individually. And I'm like, wow, I did that. I'm not worthy. You know?
Oh, but you are. You are. And you should have that on your refrigerator or your bathroom window.
Right. I mean,
I am worthy.
yeah, I do now. I do now.
Yes, and
Um,
and that's one of Keith's also. I mean, uh he's he's an interesting person, and his perspective of things is amazing.
yeah.
Just amazing.
Yeah, and him
So,
and I jive on a lot of things. We jive
yeah.
on a lot of things. I'm glad he decided to finally talk to me. Because I was trying to talk to him, and I don't know, he was keeping me at arm's length because he was like, "Oh, this is just
Well,
another internet weirdo."
he's not, I would not call him shy necessarily, but he is
Picky.
careful. Very careful.
Yeah, picky.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
discriminating about discerning, excuse me, about who he
Discerning.
who
Oh yeah.
he associates with. Okay, Aussie Tiger has got the right idea because
The
me
coffee
too.
time
Me too, because I
sounds awesome.
yep. I tried to find a hold picture, but I don't have one.
Now
Uh,
Joseph should be wandering in here eventually.
okay.
It's just before I came on. He just left here, so
Okay. Yeah,
yeah, he should
he
be
needs
coming
time to
on.
get back. Let's see. I'm looking for something to put up so I can walk away for a minute. I don't have any kind of music or anything.
I can do a soliloquy. I'm good. I've got breakfast.
Oh wait, I think I got something.
I tell you what we could do. You know, some if you guys got any questions for me personally, throw them up there. I'll do my best.
Okay, it'll only be a couple of minutes, but I
Yeah,
want to get
nothing.
coffee.
Yeah,
So be
it's
right back.
nothing. Yeah, yeah.
Watch
Come
for
on, guys.
ghosts.
You get you. This is a unique opportunity. I don't usually answer a bunch of questions. I really liked what you had to say about that, Bronklander. You know, you might think you're clumsy, but you're not. You're not. You're practicing exactly the way that it comes to you. So, with unconditional love and intention, there's nothing you can't do with that. No, just keep it quantum and keep it positive. And you're right. And I've have as far as the for every emotion, there's an equal and opposite emotion that can easily take the stead of an unpleasant one. When you look at different emotions, whether they are uh, envy and also kindness and giving, they are two sides of the same coin. If you meditate on that thing, you'll begin to have an understanding that you cannot give anything that you're not going to receive back in kind or more of. That's just how it works. And you also, if you give a unpleasant thing, say you're giving out energy of envy or jealousy or mean spiritedness, guess what? You will reap that too. You will get more of that thing. So if you're needing to get more uh, opportunities at work, or more maybe uh, when I say opportunities of work, maybe more of a paycheck and those sorts of things. This is when you begin to give more, whether it's give more time, give more empathy or kindness to your coworkers. All of those things can result in that better paycheck that you want. Where being angry and upset and afraid are only going to result in more of that. So there you are.
Okay.
Hi, I haven't burned the place down yet, but I'm working on it.
What? Okay. Okay.
I haven't burned it down yet, but I'm working on it. Okay.
Okay. Alrighty then.
No, what I was doing, what I was saying, and I want you to know what I was saying. When when Bronklander said there is an equal and opposite emotion for every emotion, they are two parts of the same coin. They truly are. If
Mhm.
you express a amount of envy, jealousy, unkindness, mean spiritedness, that's what you're going to get. If you put out there more kindness, decency, willingness to help, so on and so forth, you'll get more of that too.
Mhm. Right.
So when you realize that if you're putting the energy out, of mean spiritedness, you're going to get that energy back in. Same thing with the good stuff. You put it in there, you're going to get more of it.
Right. And you know, when now you will all being nice, you will get taken advantage of. However,
Sometimes.
that will be witnessed maybe by a person, maybe by reality. It will come back. You will be okay and you will be better for it. Okay? You will be okay and you will be better for it. Don't like I had an example. This is a very during my schooling when I was getting my networking degrees, right? Um I ran across I went to remember Game Crazy, that store that was over by Albertsons on Dyer Street?
Yes.
Okay, I went over there and I was talking about hacking on a game console, right? And how I wanted to do this and do that, do this, do that. Well, there was a dude there who all he wanted to do was put me down. He said, uh, well, you could do anything you want, I guess. And I'm like, what? What? And I wrote a paper, it was just a little paper, and it was networking and the arrogant ass. I don't put people down who are enthusiastic about being new in the field. When
Yeah.
people come to me and at the time networking, right? I was like, oh, you're going to have a lot of fun with this. You're going to learn a lot. And
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
encouraging them, the people who were, you know, first timers when our classes would overlap, right? And they were new, and I had been in school for over 2 years at that time, and I was encouraging them. And this guy was like not encouraging me. He was being very pessimistic and very sarcastic to me and
Condescending.
condescending because he
Yeah.
worked at Los Alamos. And
Yeah.
I'm like, so, are you trying to tell me that you don't want me to ascend from where I'm at to more experience? Or you're just, no, he was just celebrating his own achievements.
Oh, yeah.
And what does that do? It made me walk away, not want to associate with him, and no one around him wanted to talk to him because he was being all like that to me. Literally, he was, oh, you want to hack a GameCube? Whatever. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, whatever, yeah, whatever. I like it. It's pretty cool. It's a badass little system. Hey, nerd, welcome back to the Quantum Show.
Now this is interesting what Bronklander is saying. One of the magics I do is setting intention for me to be able to find the people who really need help. Now, this is part and parcel of learning empathy and being empathetic. And I definitely do find them. Oh yeah, you put it out there, you're gonna. I buy a lot of hot meals for people who are hungry.
Yeah, and you
See,
know
and
what? I
there you
believe,
are. The
I,
karma you are building up for yourself is going to be awesome.
yeah, and you're not, and I do the same type of thing, and it's never, I never plan on doing it. I just go and do my thing, and then if something comes in my face, girl in the woods or something, I do it. I never told anybody this. I went to the grocery store one time. I was probably getting creamer, whatever, cat food, and I went and there was a dude outside and he asked me for money. And I was like, "Well, I ain't got no money, man, but you hungry?" He said, "Yeah." I'm like, "Hold on." And I went and I bought my creamer and I went to the deli and I got him a plate. And I went up to him. I was like, "Here you go, bro. I don't got no money. I'm living on a credit card because that's what we do." And
Yeah,
I hooked him up. He was like, "Wow, thank you." I'm like, "You're welcome, bro." I never told any about that. That happened years ago. I wasn't
right.
looking for I didn't record it. I do that stuff. I don't record it. These
You
people,
weren't looking for any accolades. You were
mm-mm.
doing the thing for the right reasons.
It
And the
felt right, and I didn't want to record it because I didn't want to. Like, he wasn't happy about being in the situation he was in. He didn't want to be on the internet because of that. And I wasn't looking for fame. I was looking to do the right thing at the moment. And I like to think I'm passing these little trials. I like think.
Yeah, they are tests in their own way.
Yeah, and okay, Bronk
And you're
leaves.
right, Bronklander, and we're all guilty of it, or whatever. But somebody's really a crapper to me. They're liable to get an earful.
Oh,
Had a Karen hit me. I was waiting in line to pick up my daughter from the hospital, and I had a Karen come up to the window, bang on the window, and say, "You have to move this car right now. I need to leave." And I said, "You're SOL, baby." She goes, "You have to move it. You have to." I said, "I can't." And the fact of the matter is, I I can't. I cannot drive a car. Not right now. I can't see to do it.
mm,
But she doesn't care about my problem,
yeah, she was
and I
all
knew
wrapped
she
up in
didn't
her own
care.
stuff.
I knew she didn't care, and I didn't bother her with it. So next moment, I told her run along, and she could wait for Storm to get back. And next moment, I get a bang, bang, bang on my window, and there's a security guard. She's there all smug and nastified. And I said, "Good afternoon. What may I do for you?" He goes, "Can you move the car?" And I said, "I'm sorry, buddy, but I can't move the car." I said, "It doesn't belong to me, and I cannot drive." I said, "I can't see to drive." And I said,
Mhm.
"And if Karen's standing behind you, let her know that I wasn't particularly inspired by her kindness earlier." you know, she was. She was right there, started screaming at him, and I said, "Have a nice day," and rolled the window up, you
Yep.
know.
You know
And
what,
yeah,
Bronk?
we all have it in us to be absolute crappers. But
Yeah.
most people, when you're nice, are more than thrilled to be nice back.
Yeah, we're it's we're able to do that. And another thing happened, right? I noticed this and I just interjected the best I could. I was at the gas station and this dude had just had some kind of interaction with somebody outside where they thought he was going to rob them because he was in not a nice car and he was out of gas and he needed a funnel and he came in and he was like, "Man," rah, rah, rah," just venting. Well, I saw someone act the wrong way, right? The cashier says, like authoritatively, he's a cashier at a 7-Eleven like store. "Calm down." And I'm like, that is not the way to calm down. That is not how you do
Like
that.
this is like throwing gasoline on a
Yes, like
fire.
you're putting yourself in the line of fire. Like now you're the authority he needs to rebel against. Don't do that. I was like, and he asked him where the funnels were, 'cause, the little paper funnels they keep at gas stations. He's like, "I don't know, I haven't seen them." Like, not my problem. I knew where they were, so I went and got him some 2 of the funnels, right? I was like, "I
Right.
found your funnels, dude. It's okay. You know, hey, it's all good. Here you go." And,
Everybody has a bad day here and there. And we
yeah,
all, including me, everybody has a bad day.
yeah. And, okay, Bronk follows up, with, "If we are in fact one conscious collective, helping others is akin to helping oneself, isn't it?" Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Bingo.
Yes. Yes, it
Somebody's
is.
got it, Nathan. We're doing good.
Mhm. He brought back a keyword, and it's right up there in the empathy realm. Collective consciousness. We are. This is a collective consciousness, and empathy is our
By that same token, though, if we do not help each other, we also do not help ourselves.
right.
So
That
the
shoots
only
ourselves
way
in the
out
foot.
of it, the only way out is to start helping one another.
Yep. See you later, Aussie.
Good to see you, Aussie.
Thanks for coming by.
Yeah.
And
Hey, nerd.
um, Yep, a nerd. I said hi when she came. I saw her coming.
Yeah, I heard. I
um,
didn't say it though.
it's all good. Yeah, and the empathy is, oh man, it's such a great. For me, it was a okay. It really is like a complicated machine,
It
because
can. Yeah.
you do one thing and it leads you to learn how to do these other things, like a
Yeah.
multimeter. You can
Yeah.
use it for one thing, but
Yeah.
all these other things are there, and you're like, why does it have two plugs? Why does it have all these settings sitting around? Why is it all there? And then you start exploring and, well, reading the manual. Empathy doesn't come with a manual, but multimeters do. So you
They
can
do
explore.
unless you throw the instructions away.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, somebody threw my instructions for empathy away, so I'm winging it here.
Yeah. And most of us are. I think one of the things to really keep in mind though, that this is not rocket science.
Mm-mm.
These are people, everybody's a bit complicated in their own right, but when you're decent and kind with people and treat them like you'd like to be treated, you know, do unto others as should be done by.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then yes, I am quoting the big fisherman and
Okay.
quoting Jesus.
That's fine.
That
That's cool.
that doesn't mean anything. There is still right, you know.
Right.
Taking philosophies that are right, whether they're philosophies that come out of Buddhism or Taoism or Christianity or Wicca, you know, take
Yeah.
the things that work and work for you.
Yep. And okay. And I'm wrapping all this with empathy, right?
Yeah.
So, like, what I was, okay, let me go back to a point, right? And we'll work back up to here because I took a coffee break. And like, you will take hits. People will take advantage of you,
Oh
but you
yeah.
will learn from those things and you'll learn how to spot those red flags, so to speak, to see when
Well,
someone is, and with an empathetic edge, you'll know they're doing it before they do it.
oh yeah.
Oh, I know they'll do it. I know when something's
And
up.
even with empathy, you can be kind, good-hearted, and that may absolutely attract somebody with a dark bend. It has
Hmm.
happened to me.
Have
But
you? Uh huh.
yeah,
Have you ever had one of those people where they pretend to be your friend and all this stuff, and it goes on for a long time, and all of a sudden they're like, "Ah, I can't. No, just no. I'm out," and they just like all of a sudden become hostile to you and won't talk to you.
too.
I've had that several times throughout my life where they'll work
Brought them into my own home,
they'll be friends, be
ate
friends, be
at
friends.
my table, took what looked out for them, got it right in the ribs.
Okay, you'll have to start. I didn't catch something.
See, I got two like that. They ate at my table. They had benefit from my hospitality and a number of other things, and put it right in my back.
Well, that's
Now,
but hold on. I don't mean that. I mean that's not what I'm talking. I'm not talking about betrayal. I'm talking they act like they're your friend for so long, and then they just can't keep up the act anymore, and they just get so frustrated with you. Not that they do
I think
anything to
I,
you.
I think we experienced that here recently.
Yes, we did, didn't we?
Uh,
Hey, Edgar, welcome back.
Edgar, happy to see you. Been a while.
And Nerd is bringing some up. I don't know what I haven't read it yet. We're all electrified. Oh yeah, we're all electrified meatballs hallucinating our own existence. The least we can do is choose to be kind. I'd rather be taken advantage of than be someone who is afraid of being taken advantage of. Yeah, because what do they call it? No guts, no glory.
Yeah.
Damn right. Because there's a I give everything a 50-50 chance every time. Oh, and Bronk is saying up here, empath teenagers and kids really struggle.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
do.
because there's no guidance for using your empathy.
No,
And it's really easy to just look past it and you're doing something wrong
no,
or to take advantage of it and do
they're
something
getting so
bad.
much. They're getting so much negativity in school
Yeah.
from media of all places. You know, whether it's mean girl mentality or tough guys or thugs or gang mentality, they're really struggling.
Mhm.
And parents are struggling too because now it's taken two people to actually to work to afford a small apartment. So,
Yep.
it's tough for everybody right now.
Yeah. Well, that's the in your face stuff and it's causing a
Yeah,
lot of stress. And
true.
that it takes effort, but that stress can be mitigated. Have some happy times. Make happy times. But he's saying they really struggle because they know that they're feeling stuff and they don't know it's not them. I did this. They
Yeah.
didn't know it wasn't them feeling it. If somebody comes in angry, they get angry. They feel anger. They think it's theirs. They're
We used
angry
to
now.
in school quite a bit where you'll have a table full of kids doing their thing, and this isn't any different than adults, really. They're talking, they're having dinner, they're doing their thing, and somebody walks up and face plants one of them in the middle of their tray because he's
Yeah.
pissed off about who knows what.
And taking
And
out on that person. And it just
that person's sitting there being happy. How dare they?
yeah.
See? Oh yeah, it's rough.
Yep. I had
And
somebody
we
do
all
something like
we
that.
all deal we all deal with stuff like that in school.
Yeah. I had somebody like that in my auto mechanics class.
Yeah,
And this was a long time. I was in junior high. No, I was a junior in high school, sorry.
yeah,
And we were being led by the teacher, which is the way we ought to have been. And we were both now we drained a radiator, right? And it's a big pan, big heavy pan, a
sure.
metal pan of antifreeze. And
And
he
nasty
goes
at that,
through.
probably.
He didn't like the fact that he was on even ground with me, figuratively, right? That he was doing the same grunt work I was doing. He didn't like me
Oh,
because I
well,
refused. Yeah, and he just dropped the pan and just went and walked away. And I was like, I set the pan down. I'm like, "What are you doing, dude?" And he wouldn't talk to me after that. Yeah, that was also time when I was didn't know what was going on, and I was trying to be liked, and
right.
that didn't work for me. It worked against me, and
We all
well,
go
that
through it.
yeah, and
You know, it's part of learning to ebb and flow as an adult. But by the same token, as parents, and I've been there. I've had to work while my kid was at home for a time by himself. Of course, that's frowned down now, big time.
yeah,
At the
Gen X,
time, was everybody was doing that.
Gen X,
Uh, they, uh, in retrospect, I don't know what else I could have done about it, and
yeah,
I'm sure that that's part of the problem with this too. But I got a phone call, sort of like what we're talking about here. You need to come in and do something with your child. I'm like, oh, great. This is going to be fun.
yeah,
Went
and
in. He had a kid, a big kid, 16-year-old. My kid was 12. The 16-year-old was in his class and had been in that class from what I understood, for several years. Okay.
yeah,
And the 16-year-old got mad, and my kid's not known for keeping his mouth shut. Of course, I can't imagine where he got that from. But anyhow, he He grabbed John by the back of the head and smashed his face into a desk, broke his nose,
Mm,
chipped a tooth,
yeah. Well.
and John hit him once. It hurt where he hit him, came straight across. Now I've been working with John for a long time with his temper, because he has one. He got that on us too. And he hit the boy once. He didn't continue to beat on him, he hit him once. I think more or less as a response. But the 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 principal wanted me to do something about it, and I said, "All right." I said, "I'll discipline him. You needn't worry for that." And she wanted to. She was mad. I can't blame her for that. She don't want that mess in her school. But she wanted to beat him with an oversized uh, board. And I'm like, he's 12. He looks like he's 10 and weighs 100 pounds soaking wet. Uh-uh. You're
Mhm.
not striking him with that board. And I offered to let her hit me. And she's she said, well, I can't do that. I said, but you can hit an unarmed 12-year-old, no problem. There's something wrong with your methods. You
Yeah.
know, I said, all right, we're done here. And took him with me. I took him to an ice cream shop and I gave him ice cream. One, to help the bleeding in his nose. Two, because he hit him once. This is a kid with a temper problem.
Hmm.
And
He
I've
had
been
it.
trying to break that for years.
Yeah, he had that. He had anger in reserve.
Yes.
I can tell you, I got a temper too. He had anger in reserve.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little bottle that's ready. It's like a shook up can of Coke. It's ready to
Exactly.
go. All he has to do is pop the top and it's out. And it goes everywhere.
Yeah, and it's the genie in the bottle, as you know.
Hmm.
And but he had hit him only once.
He
You know,
restrained himself after
it took
getting his face
terrific
bashed. Yeah.
amount of strength and character for him to have only responded once.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you have to take these things in direct proportion to what's going on.
Would you say he has an empathic awareness?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. And oh, man, I can remember having conversations that, Mom, I don't want these gifts. Take them away.
Oh,
And
I
I'm
remember.
like, I can't. Honey, you came with a whole gamut of things you can do.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
watched
and
him as a 2-year-old say, I want cookies. And the damn cookie jar floated over to him. He
cool.
got cookies. Now he can't do that now, but why is kind of an interesting thought, isn't it?
Mhm.
Because I've
Mhm.
never told him he can't do that, because
Yeah,
I know he can.
yeah, and but okay, drawing us back to the empathy is
Empathy.
yeah,
Though, now on that very same subject, he and I discussed that not too long ago, and he goes, Mom, he goes, I feel that you have learned a lot about controlling, your base emotions. He goes, I think about that day many times. He goes, and I feel nothing but sorrow I did that. And I'm like, so did you learn something from it? He goes, yes. I said, then it served you.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
and
very rarely a one and done. It's usually something that you go back to several times over the course of your life, particularly if it was a life changing thing.
yeah,
Storm says it with my mother. My mother had passed away when John was about a year old. and she thought the world of him. He would look at a gumball machine, and he'd look at it and go give, and the thing would give him treats. No money, just go, you know. So he's quite talented.
And he said he didn't want the gifts.
He didn't want them.
You know what? You were there to teach him.
Yeah.
That's what these people don't have. Because, someone brought up in Keith's show one time, why don't we have a Hogwarts where people, and I went down that's a rabbit hole, right? Why don't
It
we
is.
have a school that does that where maybe not changing hallways and trolls in the dungeon, but maybe they explore their empathy and uh, latent abilities. All these kids need, and I am not about changing the world, but I will change within what's arm's reach.
Well,
Yeah.
you have this program. Do you think it's some sort of little accident?
Mm-mm. No, not at all.
So
It's called
maybe
Quantum Show because I was here
maybe
for a reason.
it's empathic 101
Yeah,
or
definitely.
kindness 101.
Yeah, and
Some of the places to learn these things is definitely like live streaming and YouTube.
hmm for sure because this is
But
the only
be
way I got.
aware.
Yeah, this is the only way I got to get the message out because there's so much other stuff out there that's like grabbing people's attention. And I
Yeah.
tell people, I'm like, hey, come on, we talk about aliens, Bigfoot, psychic stuff, all of it. We talk about all of it. And um, oh, sorry. Oh, we got Joe coming in. Hey, Joe,
Hey, Joe. Glad to see you got back okay.
I think so. Chinese side is still up.
was it? What did
The,
he say?
High wind. High wind.
Oh, okay,
the shiny side of the car is still up.
okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Pinky, welcome back. Thanks for coming by. And everybody's still here. Yep. And Brunklander is giving you
That's very
kudos.
kind of you, Bronk. I appreciate it. I often wonder, and I haven't had little kids in the house for 20 years, and 22 years,
Well, he's
and
big.
well, he's still here. I was telling the audience about having a kid that didn't want the gifts.
hmm
That's
And
been interesting.
yeah, and that got me on the topic of something that came up on Keith's show was why don't we have a school like he was putting it as a private school like Hogwarts where
Yeah.
people can develop their magical abilities, their mystical, paranormal, supernatural stuff.
Have you heard of Ardentane?
I have not. What is that?
That's in New Mexico. That's exactly what they're doing there.
Is
They've been there
Argentina
many
in
years.
Mexico or is it in Arizona?
It's in New Mexico. You're thinking of Iron Oak is in Arizona.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay, found it. I will put a link in the show
Yeah.
description afterward.
Iron Oak is more of a
Commune.
commune, yeah.
But they teach,
Argentine's a whole different ball of wax, so they have different kinds of uh of programs, classes.
Do they have adult education? Because I could send people. I know
yes.
people in New Mexico. Good,
You know,
good.
I haven't heard of Ardentane in quite a long time. Again,
It's fairly close to a place I used to. I didn't exactly work there, but I used to carry messages for him.
oh, okay. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm looking.
there are places that do teach, but I'll tell you, the esoteric studies are so often uh, bombed as being uh, bad places that It's hard for them to operate.
Hey, I like this. I was reading the about page. I will definitely put this in the top of the thing, top of the description.
I don't
Nathan,
know why you
going
didn't
to
know
be
about
about,
him, Nathan.
I'm going to be 2 minutes. I need to get some medication, okay? I
Okay,
won't be long.
okay, okay. I'm going to read a little bit from this, right? And what do they call themselves? Is it like community? Learning community. Yeah, okay.
Learning
I need
community
to
school.
I need I needed a title. Okay. Okay, you know what I can do? I can also bring it up and read it that way.
Right. I don't know why you don't know about him. I've known about him for years, decades.
I'm don't know why. Okay. Let me go ahead and just read a little bit from the about page. Ardentane is a learning community for those who hold the earth sacred, grounded in a campus in the southern foothills of Yemis Mountains in New Mexico. We are an educational center for adults offering online and in person classes and courses. We're also a retreat facility where individuals, families, and small groups can find a quiet place to center themselves, create, and heal. And we are a volunteer led, not for profit, tax exempt educational spiritual resource. Our values. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I will highlight, right?
Amber Kay was
Right.
one of the ones that started that off there.
Hmm. Okay, this is going to scare some people away. Ardentane is a pagan learning center based on the Wiccan rede and serving all positive pagan traditions. Okay, there goes half the audience right there.
You know,
Apparently, not this
Joking.
place.
Okay.
if they allowed the Sumerians to walk around their land, they were okay.
Yeah. Fosters excellence in teaching using a national pool of skilled and well informed teachers who are committed to their own continual growth. That says a lot right there. Okay.
Yeah,
Continual growth. That means not ego driven, but you do well means I do well, means you do well.
yeah.
And
But we
students
were just
need.
talking about running off the empathic and
Hmm.
and teaching in a way that you would like to be taught. Like,
Yeah, this is Hogwarts of the desert
yeah,
for sure. I'm reading more, and y'all can all read. Uh,
and that's just one of them. Maybe you can drop the link in the description for the show, and
I will. I will.
you
I'll already. I will have put it in. It's in the YouTube chat now. They can click over to that if they want to. Right.
and they're not the only ones who do this. I mean, uh, and you must remember that yeah, these may be okay, quote unquote pagan, and maybe not your particular tradition, but they may be teaching a class or classes that are very specific to what you wish to learn.
Hmm.
And as I understand, not only our faith, but also people like them, you're there to learn this and you don't want more, we will not force you to have more.
Right.
Right.
And you can sign up for classes just like classes, right?
Oh,
Not GI Bill or nothing like that, but you sign up for classes, you show up, you do the work, you do your homework, you learn the topic, right?
yeah.
Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me.
Nathan, a lot of these topics are never ending.
Oh, I
Yeah.
know. But see, that's the beginning. That's the hook. And I'm not saying hook is a bad thing. I mean, that's what gets you going. I started tinkering
You
with,
gotta you gotta start somewhere.
yeah. I mean, one leads to another, leads to another, leads to another. Like, Joe, I think you may appreciate this metaphor. Uh, I was using a multimeter, a fancy multimeter, as an example. You can learn to use it for all kinds of stuff, and you can be clever with it, or you can use it to be a battery tester. It's up to you, right?
And it's not a very good battery tester
Right. But it's up
because
to you.
it doesn't put a load on.
Okay, well, how
Yeah,
do
and
you
you're right,
accomplish
Brock.
that?
How what?
How do
I
you accomplish that? How do you accomplish the next thing? Oh, it's not a very good battery tester. Well, if I own the multimeter, I'm going to want to learn to use that function.
Right.
How do I make that work? How
Put
do I
about a
make it
one.
work?
Put
just
about a one.
don't give it to a leprechaun, okay?
Never mind.
And yeah, Bronk is saying paganism is the basis for pretty much all of our holidays and calendar
Yes,
dates tradition. Yes, yes, it
all
is.
of them.
And but
All of them.
yeah,
Not
and I
pretty
was
much.
just
All
see
of
where
them.
we went. See where we went. We went from empathy to pagan school.
Yeah, you want to go back to
You know
empathy?
what? You could
No,
walk into Ardentane, be a perfectly devout uh, Christian or Catholic or Jew or
whatever.
Buddhist, and learn the subject of empathy.
I
You
would love. Oh, I know
without
somebody,
without
and we could go
without
there.
any problem with any sort of cross referencing or any of that if you don't want it. You don't have to have what you don't want.
I know people in New Mexico. They're in the
Yeah.
paranormal community, right? I don't mean you, Lan. I mean other people. People who are lookers on to us, right? And I bet they could go. I would love to know, huh? If I didn't
They
know,
what city are they up next to? I'm thinking Silver.
No.
I'm wrong, the wrong direction.
Yeah. Albuquerque.
Oh, okay,
okay,
sure.
Because it's near a certain uh, research facility.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to.
It's on the way.
No, no, no. You have to go down a parallel road, but
Yeah.
you know. Did you guys define empathy? Empathy? Yeah, yeah,
Empathy.
yeah. Before you got into your topic here.
Well, yeah, we did. Feeling, uh, okay, we started small,
Mm.
and I started by saying I was hit. I personal experience. I had an empathic experience when we were renting videos, and I had this wave of annoyance and impatience come over me, and it was not mine, and it felt alien, and I was like, "What is that?" It jarred me. It was the woman who was on the phone talking to her buddy who didn't want to ring us up, and I was like,
Mm.
I really I wasn't. I did like that because I
Yeah,
was standing.
that sounds like a mixture of giftedness and empathy.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, well that was my first experience, right? And then I thought it was me, but I knew it wasn't me because I had no reason to feel that way. And then the girl I used also the girl in the woods. She ran out to me and being a pretty girl, I let myself go along with that and I let myself feel her fear, her anxiety, and her fear and anxiety, right? And I let it excite me. I mean, it's just, episode of a show, whatever. Let it excite me, and I went with it. That's why I didn't. My
I
logic went out the window. I didn't record the whole incident.
I have a question for you, Nathan.
Yeah,
If it had been a little old lady or a less attractive person, would you have stopped?
I probably would have. I mean, I'm not going to run them over. They literally went in front of my car.
Well, of course
I would have
not.
stopped. I would have
But
stopped. It.
would you have helped them?
I think so.
Or would you have thought twice about it?
I would have stopped. That's a. I hadn't thought about that.
So now that's empathy because you kind of have discounted your empathy there,
Yeah,
and you
I
didn't
didn't.
need to.
when I just saw a figure run out in front of me, a human. I didn't know boy, girl, whatever. I just saw someone run out in front of my car, and well, I stopped, and then I started. I felt them before I could make them out, honestly. And I was driving on the
You
road,
were already tuned in.
yeah,
Have you
and I was
spoken about the dangers of empathy?
yes, yes, we
Somewhat,
have,
but not entirely.
yeah,
Somewhat.
adopting other people's angry feelings as your own,
Yeah.
and not knowing it's yours, not knowing it's not yours, and acting on them. Well, and perpetuating them. That's one thing.
Yeah,
Go
Yeah.
that's
ahead, Joe.
one thing.
You seem to have something else. Go ahead.
Right. Well, the feeling emotions of others, uh, especially intense emotions, can lead to your own emotional exhaustion, even stress and burnout, and such things as ulcers and things like that.
I did that.
Especially if one struggles to establish boundaries or differentiate between their own emotions and those of others.
Hmm.
And it is especially problematic for people who are both empathetic and have giftedness, because now the range of what you're feeling is, you know,
Oh yeah.
you're not
Wow.
feeling that guy on the floor. You're feeling everybody around you and what they're feeling.
You're
Yeah.
right.
Translate that to a hospital floor with nothing but curtains around each bed, and each person is looking forward to one procedure or another. That can be very overwhelming.
Right. And with your heightened sensitivity, empathetic individuals may be more attuned to those emotions and actually amplify those emotions within themselves. So
Right.
you've got to learn to tune them down.
Right. I
That-
called it focusing and filtering,
Right.
or
Right.
filtering and focusing.
You
And
may
and by please go ahead.
you may feel a strong sense of responsibility to use your talents to help others, but unless you time that, give it a place in your life, uh, it can be draining if you don't manage it effectively.
Yeah. Yeah. It can be.
Mm,
And this is
find
where
yourself humming the pinball wizard, except you get to be the pinball.
Oh, I thought you get to be the deaf, dumb, and blind kid.
well,
No, no, the pinball
Mhm.
all over everything,
yeah. One
and
time I was
and socked here and there for no and not understand what's happening.
What
yeah,
were you saying, Nathan?
another experience I had, speaking of being overwhelmed, is I was I was in the kitchen. I've said this one before. Everybody's voice came in at once, and it just pile drived me, right? It just run me over. And I was like, I'll be right back. And I went outside and took a break. And from that time, for the next 2 years, I had a Led Zeppelin song stuck in my head for 2 years. Same song over and over. It was a self defense mechanism.
Oh
Yeah,
boy.
It was
yeah.
mhm.
Go ahead.
No, it was stuck in my head for 2 years. I lost count. It could have been longer, but it felt like forever. And I'm so glad it went away because I
Mhm.
started learning about this stuff. And it was actually when I started going to the bookstore, Joe, when I found you guys.
Right. Despite our abilities, empathetic and gifted individuals, and I'm talking about people that have both, not just not just two different groups, but as both, may find themselves feeling alone due to their experiences. Finding peers that can relate to both their empathetic nature and their giftedness might be difficult.
Hmm.
And you brought that up. You found the bookstore, but if they don't find that, it can exacerbate their feelings of isolation.
Yeah, they can become erratic.
Well,
and
Keith,
angry.
Keith Andrews points out that he literally reclused himself for 55 years because of those kinds of things. And,
Think
you
of
know,
the good he could have done if he would have had a
yeah.
little help.
And he has something of a late start, but he has begun, you know, and realized what it was all about, and little by little has gotten it handled.
Hmm.
But nobody should be alone for no 55 years.
Right.
The,
Yeah,
really, you need a sense of community, whether that is with church, synagogue, coven, uh,
Whatever.
card club, you know, and something somewhere where you can be yourself and who you are without fear of being judged.
yeah.
Right.
With
Yeah.
self awareness, self care, and support of others, you can learn to navigate the complexity of your trials of your two skills and harness them as a source of strength and fulfillment. But
Yeah. And
getting there is difficult.
something we touched on also was you start with empathy and it leads to so many other things.
Yeah,
It has, because empathy is the key. You can, okay, let's go with something mainstream. Ghosts, right? When you start realizing and using and listening to your empathic awareness, you feel people and you seem to feel stuff that comes out of nowhere.
yeah, it heightens awareness.
You feel the stuff that comes out of nowhere, and our creativity and our imagination starts to link into that, and we're like, what do I see here? What does it feel like? Right? What does it feel like? And then, well, skip ahead a little bit. Spirit guide. Okay, that's
Yeah,
skipping way ahead. Now I went from general haunted house ghost to very personal spirit guide. So there's a lot in between point A and point B there, but point A is learning how to listen, learning how to pay attention. Let's see.
Right.
I got
It's a lot of personal growth.
right, and
Empathetic awareness encourages introspection and reflection and
there
leads to personal growth and
there is
development.
so but you, and looking at the little things that come along with it. Pinky's saying, Pinky Leader saying, I think empathy is the biomarker predetermined destiny manifestation. Okay, dude, we need some
wow.
breaking that down. Okay, I think that is like I love you bunches. That sounds like word salad, bro. Okay, uh, it
Yeah,
really does.
yeah. If you can break it down a little bit more for yourself and maybe for explaining to others, that would be
Okay,
helpful.
yeah, go ahead, type that out
As
for us. I'll
as
bring it back.
Einstein, okay.
Type it up. I'll bring it back up. Type it back out. Okay,
As Einstein said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it yourself.
Yeah,
Okay. Uh,
yeah, and okay, real friends.
yeah,
Empathy is in there. Now, even if you are not walking through a place and feeling everything, when you dial into somebody, you can become empathetic with that person. And I mean on the mystical levels, right? I'm talking to the crowd
oh
here. Okay. You can become on the mystical levels, right? Even without, I mean, how many stories do you hear about husbands and wives that are finishing each other's sentences, that know when they pull in the driveway, that
yeah,
know that's empathy. That's feeling. That's tweaked it. I do that with so many people. It's I want to say it's crazy, but it ain't crazy. It's
you
cool.
know, people kind of think that that's more of a tighter relationship, a tighter intimacy, but it isn't always. You
Right.
know, you
It
can
is a
have a
deeper
very sir,
it is a deeper relationship. Empathetic
absolutely,
awareness fosters stronger connection with others, allowing you to truly understand and emphasize with the feelings and perspectives.
yeah,
Hmm.
This can lead to more meaningful and fulfilling relationship of trust, mutual respect, and support.
Right. Because you begin to feel what that okay, if you're dialed into the person, I think you're reading something, right, Joe?
Nope.
No? Okay.
That was all him.
Okay. Um, but when you begin to feel something, you begin to empathize, and not just through words and observing the way they're acting, but for empathic awareness, it's there. I don't know how else to say it. There is vision, sound, smell, taste, touch, empathy.
Yeah.
It's in there with it. Like
Yeah.
I gave the example earlier. I took a picture of my friend and then I forgot about it. And I went back and I was like, who is this? That picture did not contain the perception of her in that
Yeah.
picture.
Didn't capture her essence.
Right. I was feeling her when I look at her, and when I look at the picture, it wasn't there. And it wasn't me associating, it was me not seeing because it's a two-dimensional image other than the I don't know how many dimensions at this point, right? Multi-dimensional person, okay?
Well, and having those friendships takes time. You
Yeah.
don't just decide, oh, we're going to be best friends. It takes
No,
time.
no, there's
Getting to know each other, understanding one another, and it may take 6 minutes or it might take 6 years.
yeah.
But
I'm not reading anything because I don't have my glasses on.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
glasses here? Did you leave them?
No, I broke them yesterday, and I
Oh,
haven't got a replacement pair yet.
you should have asked me for them. You have a set here.
Oh,
But there you are. We've been friends for what, 15 years?
yeah.
Yeah.
About.
Okay, well, going to what we're talking about, empathy, is and you said the dangers of empathy. Yeah, when an empath who we got two-way radios going on, okay? Empathic two-way radios. I forget who put it. I think it was Bronklander put in there. It's like having a radio that you can listen and speak. We could go into a group and we can flavor that group. We can program that group to be happy or to be sad. And we can feel what's going on in that group, right? There have been times when I walk into the grocery store and I'll go up to the line and I'll be like, that person's, and I could pigeonhole what each person is feeling. I could filter and focus. It's so cool that I learned how to do that. And there's a lot of visualization that goes on too.
Well,
Uh,
and not just that, but put up a uh, a filter or a block against those that whose energy might be uh, unpleasant.
and I got an example for that. I went to the same grocery store. Now, this grocery store, everybody goes to it. Okay, everybody goes to it. I went in there and I got this weird feeling. And it was weird. It was like I was prey. I didn't. I was like, what is this? I know that feeling. I know the other side of that feeling too because I'm a soldier, right? We
Mhm.
Oh
right.
yeah.
Okay. I went around. I was like, and I found him. I saw the guy, and he was looking around like a predator, and not going into the backstory what I know about this dude, other things that happened in the neighborhood. I'm not going to go in, but I nailed him. I found him. He didn't say a word. He was just looking around, and I could just there was like static coming from him. I felt staticky. I felt it was kind of a weird mix of empowerment and insecurity and the feeling of do unto others until they do unto me, for lack of a better words, you know? And hey, Lamblin. No, not Duran Duran. Not Duran Duran. Hungry like a wolf. Right. I'm tracking. We're tracking. I'm tracking you.
Yeah.
Great to have you back, Lamblin. You're coming in at the end of the panel show. And well, but
Yeah.
that's okay. I'm glad you showed up.
We call it here between Storm and I. We call it target lock
Yeah.
because we can feel somebody deciding that maybe we might be easy.
Right. Oh, this guy was looking for a target, and he looked past me because he was looking for the weak. He really was. Lamblin knows this guy. This guy's coming to that store too, where she works.
Oh boy.
If I described him, you would know who I'm talking about. But not going to get into it because we're at the very end of the show, and that's okay. And yeah,
Maybe
but
next week
we've been,
we can speak about. Maybe next week we can speak about feeling like you're a target.
yeah, and then like what to do in that case.
That can be its own subject matter.
Hmm. But I got to figure out next week's show by next week's events. Got to figure it out. Got to look at this week's events. Let's see what happens because something will lead me to next show, just like this led me to this show. Events led me to this show. We got to take it backstage. But everybody, I've got to start pushing buttons because we have reached the end of our time. Not that we have a limit, but I try to keep a format so everybody knows where I'm at with stuff. And Lamblin, I think I know who. Well, we got a couple of them in this neighborhood, Lamblin. But I'm going to go ahead and start pushing buttons. Lynn, Joe, thank you for being on the panel with me this time.
Okay, I've started the Quantum Spirituality channel, but only got one video up.
Well, give me a link.
Really awesome.
Send me a link, and I will put it in the show description.
All right, I'll probably do that later.
Okay.
I got to find my glasses so I can see to do
Right.
anything.
Internet later, vision first.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
Okay, well, thanks again. Thanks y'all for coming to the panel with me and discussing this because this is a cool topic. Empathy is very dynamic. It happens. You can turn it on. Some of us can turn it on, turn it off. I can't turn it off. I can just get Led Zeppelin stuck in my head and not hear nothing.
I can't turn it
Tone
off.
it down.
I can tone it, but I can't turn it off.
Yep, I'm gonna have to reference shielding, and well, that's the reference for the show is shielding because that will help. Okay. Ah, thanks everybody. This has been quite the quantum ride today, and it got more interesting than I knew. I guess discovered a pagan school where they teach spirituality. Link will be in the description in a little while.
And don't forget Iron Oak, and that one's in Arizona. Now, they teach paganism, but they also teach blacksmithing.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah, that's nearly a lost art.
All right.
You're going to find a lot of the schools, if you start looking around, they have particular things that they're teaching that are lost arts.
Pot making.
Yeah.
Certain jewelry.
Certain foodstuffs that store well.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Things that are made from things in the desert or in the forest.
Right.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead. Like I said it what 5 minutes ago. Start pushing buttons. Thanks everybody. Y'all have a good week, and the rest of the week, keeping it quantum. Thanks, guys. Thanks everybody in the chat room.
Great show. Blessed be.
Blessed be keeping it quantum.